The mitochondria are the most essential thing for your health. But as you get to the age 30 and age 40, they start getting more damaged and they die.
What is causing those mitochondrial cells to
Get damaged.
Great
question. So here's the story.
Meet Catharine Arnston, the unstoppable founder of ENERGYbits. After her sister's cancer diagnosis, she became obsessed with algae, the most nutrient-dense plant-based superfood.
With top-notch business degrees and relentless passion, she's here to show us how algae can transform our health.
The great thing about your body is it's constantly regenerating itself. You want to know why?
What's that?
Your mitochondria evolved directly from algae. There is nothing in the universe more nutrient dense than algae. NASA's been feeding it to the astronauts for 50 years. It's so consolidated, and here's why. Chronic disease hits everybody. 1 in 2 people are predicted to get cancer now. But the reason I promote spirulina first and foremost is because it's a bacteria. If you chew it, it's in your bloodstream in seconds.
You're allowing people to feed their body the nutrients they need for their body to actually perform in the way that it's supposed to perform.
Absolutely. And that's why I love algae so much. We're not asking you to change anything. Just add it.
Welcome to another episode of a Healthy Point of View podcast. I'm your host, Sam Tejada. And like always, we're bringing experts from all over the world to talk about health, wellness, beauty, and what kind of modalities and services and products are out there to make us feel good, make us look good, and also have great sex, right? So these are things that we talk about all the time. And today we have an expert that is the expert behind algae, right? Algae has so many different benefits to it, a lot of vitamins, minerals, and all of these nutrients that are extremely important for the body. And today we're going to hear about the science behind it. And we have the founder, CEO, Chief Scientific Officer of ENERGYbits. It's one of the most powerful products out on the market. We have here Dr. Catharine Arnston.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. I'm so glad to be here. And algae's glad to be here too, because it was the first life on Earth 4 billion years ago, and it's been waiting for a very long time for it to be understood.
4 billion years ago.
4 billion
Wow.
years, yeah. So I'm happy to be the voice of algae.
Absolutely.
That's why my nickname is the Algae Gal.
The Algae Gal.
My team said, we need to call you like the Algae Queen or something. And I said, I don't want to be the queen because you're separated from everybody. The gal is like the gal next door. The gal is for everybody, and algae is for everybody. So I decided I would be the Algae Gal.
I love that. So now we have to get into the story of how you became the Algae Gal, right? And I was reading some stuff online, about your sister and whatnot, and how that kind of came to about. But I mean, you're just at a different level now when it comes to the algae. I don't think you even knew that you were going to be where you're at today because of that situation.
Well, you think to yourself, how does somebody become an expert on algae nutrition? And it's certainly not anything. I tell people I didn't pick algae, it picked me. And the situation was this. I'm actually Canadian, although I've lived in Boston, Massachusetts for 35 years, although recently moved to Miami, which I'm so excited about.
Oh, yeah.
And I mentioned the Canadian part because I have 2 sisters, and they both live in Canada. And I'm very close to them all, but both of them. And the younger one, 16 years ago, developed breast cancer. And she completely healed. But as she was preparing for her chemotherapy, her oncologist, which is a cancer specialist, told her she needed to change her diet to an alkaline diet to help her with her healing.
Okay.
Now, this recommendation came from her oncologist. So not a neighbor, not a yoga friend, a very serious doctor. So when my sister got home, she thought, well, they didn't tell her what an alkaline diet was, just that she had to do it. So she called me. Not that I knew anything about nutrition because I have an MBA and was doing international business, but I'm a very good researcher and I love my sister. So I said, I will figure this out for you. And it turned out to be a plant-based diet because of the phytonutrients and the chlorophyll that have been proven to build your immune system. And when you go through chemo, you need a strong immune system. And it turned out that cancer cannot exist in your cells if they are slightly alkaline. There's a pH range of 0 to 14. And so a German scientist by the name of Otto Warburg won a Nobel Prize in the 40s for discovering this. So having an alkaline diet would keep the cancer out of the rest of her cells. So anyways, I researched the foods for her. She did change her diet. She did go through chemo, and she completely healed. But I learned so much in the process. And I thought, wow, somebody needs to tell the rest of the world about this because it was 16 years ago. So I gave up my corporate career. I went back to school. I got a health coaching certificate from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in New York, and I taught plant-based nutrition. This is what truly led me to algae, because as I was teaching people the importance of eating more vegetables, I kept hearing, well, it's too much work, or it gives me gas, or nobody eats it, my kids won't eat it, it takes too long, it takes too much room in my refrigerator. So I thought, I have to find a way to get the nutrition of plants and vegetables into people, but in a way that's effortless and simple and doesn't take any time, and
Right.
it doesn't give them gas. And I looked at everything I found for my sister, and when I found algae and lifted the hood, that's when the miracle happened, because algae is the most alkaline food in the world. It has the most nutrient dense, it has the highest nutrient density. We have a quote from NASA that says 1 gram of algae has the same nutrition as 1,000 grams of fruits and vegetables. 1,000, that's a big number.
Wow.
The United Nations has endorsed spirulina algae, we call ours ENERGYbits, for 50 years because it has the highest concentration of protein in the world. It has 3 times the amount of protein as steak, and it's a complete protein. It has all the 9 aminos your body can't make, and 18. Plus, it's been studied for over 75 years. There are 100,000 studies
Wow.
documenting the benefits of spirulina and chlorella, but nobody in America knows about it. And it's been used in Asia daily for over 60 years. It's a crop.
Wow.
Algae is a food crop. It's bigger than the beef industry is here in Asia. So they've been taking it safely. It's been scientifically documented, and here's the best part of it all. It comes in these little tiny tablets. Each one of these tablets, which is about the size of a baby aspirin, each one has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. So while I'm talking to you, all of you, I just had a plate of vegetables.
And you chew it.
I chew mine. Most people do swallow spirulina because it has so much protein. It's very chewy. But now, and we recommend 10 spirulina minimum in the morning or the afternoon, and 10 chlorella
10 of those a day?
at least, just to fill nutritional
Okay.
gaps. If you're trying to correct a health condition, prevent a condition, whether it's cancer.
What does that taste like?
Well,
Like chewing it? You know, is
it's
it so
very
like doable?
green. Oh, yeah, I chew it with pistachio nuts, slices of strawberries, slices of apples. You can put it in a trail mix. You can put. Most people do like the chlorella, which has a drier flavor. It's more like a soy nut. I literally eat hundreds of the, well, not hundreds, but I probably eat about 100 a day. There is no upper limit because it's food. It's like having a salad. It's like having kale chips.
Right, right.
Except it has none of the downside. It has no lectins or oxalates. So if you're paleo or carnivore, there's no lectins or oxalates to upset your stomach. It's vegan. It's 0 carbs. So if you're ketogenic, you can take it. If it has, or fasting, it won't interfere with your fast. But now, if you can stand at your table, drink a glass of water, take 10 at a time in a second. No hours of cooking, cleaning, and throwing stuff out. We have expiry dates that they last about 3 years, so
Oh, wow.
you don't have to worry about using them all up quickly. It's unbelievable. It literally never goes bad. And we'll talk about this later on because we do have a discount code to share with your community. If you buy them in the large bags and you had 10 a day, it works out to $1 a day. $1 a day.
To be healthy.
To be healthy, to
Okay.
be fully nourished. 40 vitamins and minerals, highest protein in the world, highest chlorophyll in the world, in seconds. It's so safe. There's no contraindications. You can give this to your newborns, your children, to your teenagers.
Everybody.
Everybody, your
Amazing.
pets. If you drop a few in your pets will love you. And pets are smarter than us. They know what's good for them. So it's amazing that it's been used for so many years. It's been scientifically documented. It's been endorsed by international agencies. But the people in America or outside Asia simply don't know about it. Why? It's not grown here. 99% of algae, spirulina and chlorella, are grown in Asia. So it's Japan, India, Taiwan, Korea.
So let me ask you about that. Why is it growing in Asia? Is it the environment? Like what is the environment that it needs for this algae to grow?
Well, first of all, to answer your first question, why is it in Asia? It's a really interesting story. I don't want to go too deep into it, but it started with the Americans had found out about algae as a result of the Germans feeding it to their people after World War II. It all
Okay.
goes back to these German scientists that were studying algae for its health benefits and stopping cancer, but they found it also had the most nutrition and the most protein. They used it to feed their people after World War One. And after World War II, when the Hiroshima bomb was dropped, the American government, through the, I think it was the master, trying to think it was the master plan. Anyways, they committed to helping Japan get back on their feet, and they sent lots of food to Japan, and they included chlorella algae. Now, I don't know where they got the chlorella from, but they did send it to them because of the high protein. But they found out, and what we're going to talk about today, chlorella is a wellness algae. It pulls out toxins, including radiation. So they fed all the chlorella to the Japanese because of the protein, but it turned out they healed from the radiation.
Interesting.
So the American and the Japanese government said, well, what was that stuff? We want more of that. So the Carnegie Institute, and I have the papers to prove it, back in the late 40s, they built the first mass production of chlorella algae to explore the benefits, health benefits.
Okay.
But typical in America fashion, it was more complicated than they thought, and after a year, they shut the lab down. And by the way, it was in Boston, Massachusetts, which is where I've spent the last 35 years living.
Wow.
So after they shut down that lab, the Japanese basically said, well, if you're not going to figure out how to grow it for mass consumption, we will. So the Americans gave all of their research to the Japanese. And the Japanese are very patient people. And they spent 10 years trying to figure out how to grow chlorella algae for mass consumption. And they finally figured it out. And that took them into the late 50s and early 60s. And starting the early 60s, you may remember, there was a burst of interest in spirulina and chlorella. It was part of the counterculture Vietnam War period. But this is why the algae industry is based in Asia, because it started in Japan.
So what all the raw product for the ENERGYbits is coming from Asia?
Yes, we grow ours in Taiwan. So that to answer the other question about is it a good climate, yes, because growing algae isn't like growing broccoli or carrots. You can't grow it just anywhere. It has to be in a tropical climate. And we grow ours in Taiwan, and Taiwan is known as having the gold standard. And it's, again, like wine, because of the angle of the sun, it just happens to be the best place to grow algae. You get, China and India, all the lesser expensive algae that you find at Trader Joe's or Walmart, I'll promise you comes from China and India, and they cut corners and they don't grow it as carefully as we do.
Right.
So it's not as powerful and it's missing some of the nutrients. We'll talk about that later on. But Taiwan is the gold standard.
How long does it take to grow that algae?
It takes about 6 to 8 weeks to grow it, and it's grown in fresh water, so it's not the ocean. Yes, there is algae, spirulina, and in the oceans and in lakes like Klamath Lake, but that's where mycotoxins are. So you never want algae grown in a wild body of water. So ours is grown in fresh water, and it takes about 6 weeks to grow it, maybe 8, and then we air dry it without high heat, and then we press them into these little tablets that we call bits, because they're bits of nutrition. There is nothing else in here. One ingredient in our ENERGYbits, it's spirulina, and one ingredient in our chlorella, which is chlorella. Nothing else.
Chlorella, is that the same thing as chlorophyll?
Well, it has the highest chlorophyll in the world. That's why it's called chlorella, because of the chlorophyll. It has 500 times more chlorophyll than arugula and 25 times more chlorophyll than liquid chlorophyll. Now, liquid chlorophyll is good for you, but when you take liquid chlorophyll, you're only getting the chlorophyll. When you take chlorella, first of all, you get 25 times more chlorophyll than liquid chlorophyll, plus you get 60% protein, 40 vitamins and minerals, and important nutrients that we're going to talk about, like superoxide dismutase, that protect your mitochondria from free radical damage. So they help you with your longevity. Has the highest glutathione. I know a lot of your drips are glutathione. This has the highest glutathione in the world. So this is really great to stack with IV drips or just take it alone. But it's
now,
very
liquid
rich in
chlorophyll
chlorophyll.
Typically comes from what? Broccoli? It is?
Usually wheatgrass
Okay,
or
wheatgrass.
broccoli sprouts. It's from sprouts.
Okay.
But chlorophyll is a pigment.
Right.
Chlorophyll is a green pigment, and it's in green plants. But when you get chlorophyll water, it's made predominantly from either a wheatgrass but it's from a sprouted.
And what are some of the benefits that people get from chlorophyll?
From chlorophyll? Oh man. Well, first of all, I don't have, I probably have it in my little booklet here. The chemical composition of chlorophyll is almost identical to your hemoglobin, which is your red blood cells. So number one of the benefits of chlorophyll is that it builds your blood. And when you have healthy blood, you're going to have a healthier body. So
Right.
that's number one. I'm sorry, I'll try to find this picture. Maybe my colleague can find me the picture of the chlorophyll. So that's number one. Number two, chlorophyll kills bacteria. So it kills bacteria in your mouth if you chew it. It kills bacteria in your colon, kills bacteria everywhere. And a lot of people, they only know algae because they see it as an algae bloom closing their favorite beach. And poor old algae gets the bum rap. Well, algae kills bacteria and absorbs toxins. So you couldn't see the bacteria or the toxins of the water, but you can see the algae. So algae is the cleanup crew, and it does it in the beaches and it does it in your body. And part
Right.
of it does it through the chlorophyll. Chlorophyll, interestingly enough, and most people don't even know this, and it took me a while to figure this out, is a fat-based pigment. We're going to talk about spirulina as well because it's a blue-green algae because it has two pigments. It has the chlorophyll, but also has a blue one called phycocyanin, which has healing properties that we'll talk about. But chlorophyll, and it's a water-based pigment. Chlorophyll is a fat-based pigment. Why is that important? Because your cells are made, all have a cell wall that's made of lipids, which is a fancy way of saying fats.
Right.
And this is why we take omega-3 and vitamin D and vitamin A to nourish those cell walls. Well, because chlorophyll is also a fat-based pigment, it also heals the cell walls. So, and you want healthy cell walls because this allows your nutrients to get in and toxins to get out. And so chlorophyll helps that happen because it's a fat-based pigment. So it's
Right.
very, very important. And just on the blood part, it builds your blood, and your blood also chlorophyll and both algae are the most alkaline foods in the world. That's how I got into this because my sister's doctor wanted her to have an alkaline diet to make sure that the alkalinity of her cells stayed alkaline to keep the cancer out. But your blood needs to be even more alkaline than your cells. It needs to be 7.34. And why is that? Well, your hemoglobin, they are these round structures that have an iron atom in the middle, and iron is what carries oxygen. Now, your Mother Nature's so clever. What she did was she put a negative charge around the hemoglobin, sort of like when you hold up magnets and they repel one another.
Right.
So with this negative charge on the hemoglobin, they repel one another, which allows them to stay round so that they can move through the capillaries. And so it allows them to hold the iron atom so you can hold oxygen. But when you have an acidic diet, sugar and processed foods and too much animal protein, or when you're too stressed and you release chemicals that are acidic, it strips off that negative charge because which causes the blood to clump. Now it can't
Okay.
go through the capillaries. Now it can't hold oxygen very well. This is why you get fatigued. So your body instantly pulls minerals out of your bones, out of your cells, out of your organs to neutralize that acidity and bring it back to that alkalinity. But if that happens too frequently, it wears your immune system down. It causes osteoporosis. It causes all sorts of problems with your immune system. So, so this is why algae in particular, because it's alkaline, but also because it has so much chlorophyll, which builds your blood and restores that alkalinity charge to the hemoglobin so they don't clump. It's very, so,
Very
people don't
interesting.
need blood thinners. Just take algae. It's not a thinner. It just makes your blood more viscose so it can
Right.
travel where it needs to go and bring you the oxygen.
Now,
with it.
with the chlorophyll, I've also seen where people utilize that as a natural deodorant.
Yeah, because it kills bacteria.
Right.
It kills, and this is why it's great for your pets too. If you have dogs, they have bad breath. Yeah, here's the photo of the image. Thank you very much. That shows the chemical structure of the hemoglobin, and here's the chemical structure of chlorophyll, virtually identical.
Oh, wow.
Someone thought that I took the picture of the hemoglobin, just colored it in green. I said, no, this is the way it is. You can go online and see this. Most people are not aware of these sorts of things. This is why everything we do at ENERGYbits is science-based. We're
Right.
trying to help people. I've read as I said, there's 100,000 studies. I've read about 4,000 PubMed articles myself, trying to figure out why does this stuff work and why does ours work better than anybody else's. And there's been this little cookie trail that I've had to follow and reconnect the dots in ways that are amazing. And every time I find something out about algae, it's like, oh my God, you do that too? It's almost unbelievable because it's literally a miracle food. If the science wasn't there, I would not believe it. And in fact, when I started the company, I was by myself for the first 4 years because I didn't have a science background. I only got my PhD last year. I couldn't.
Congratulations on
Thank you
that,
so
by the
much.
way.
Thank you. In natural health, because I wanted people to know that I was serious about this and I was serious about helping them. But it took me that long to believe what I was reading, is I thought, this can't be possible. If it was so good, why don't people know about it? And it's because it's not grown here. It's all grown in Asia. And there's been no incentive for anybody to educate people about it. And I remind people, well, you didn't know about chia or matcha or collagen powder or bone broth until maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And yet those things have been existing in other countries and
For
used by
many years,
indigenous
yeah.
for decades. Algae was used by the Aztecs 250 years ago. It was their main source of food. They had big ponds, and that was their main protein, and they were a very healthy community until the Spanish conquered them. And here's a funny story. That when the Spanish came into Mexico, they saw all these big ponds and thought they were just pond scum, so they drained them. And the Aztecs lost their main source of food and protein. And some people attribute the fact that they got taken over because they were weakened and they didn't have the strength
Right.
that they had before.
Wow.
The history of algae is remarkable.
So let me ask you this, because I'm going to go back to the alkaline diet.
Yeah.
Right. Before ENERGYbits came about, what did an alkaline diet look like?
Well, heavily plant-based.
Okay.
And you can go online and there are charts that show you the alkalinity of certain foods. Fruits, some fruits are more acidic than others. Berries are very mostly alkaline. Anything green because of the chlorophyll, which is alkaline.
Right.
Almonds, interestingly enough, are alkaline. Other nuts are acidic. Lemon tests acidic, but to your body it's alkaline. But here's the problem. And there's a great book called The Plant Paradox, written by Dr. Stephen Gundry, and I've been on his podcast. The paradox with plants is that they are good for you in some ways,
Right.
but they also have what's called anti-nutrients. And these are nutrients that are not good for you. And some of them are called lectins and oxalates. And plants like spinach and kale and almonds, unfortunately,
Raspberries.
I'm not sure, raspberries, I didn't know about that,
Yeah.
have very high lectins and oxalates. Now, these are very sharp proteins that can puncture your stomach lining if you're sensitive to them and cause autoimmune. A lot of people go carnivore because they develop this autoimmune from eating too many plants. And I have come to the conclusion that kale is actually not good for you because it's so high in lectins and oxalates. But algae doesn't have any lectins and oxalates. So you can get all the benefits of plants without any of the downside. So normally an alkaline diet would have been very heavy on the plant side.
Right. Right.
But now you can get all the benefits of an alkaline diet, whether you're paleo, carnivore, vegan, doesn't matter, and not have any of the
Right.
downside.
Because one of the big things with the alkaline diet that I've noticed, even with patients going through cancer, through the radiation and chemotherapy, is drinking alkaline water, right?
Yeah.
Which is a water that has a pH balance of above like an 8,
Yeah.
making it very alkaline.
Yeah.
So one of the things you mentioned is your cells have to be at 7.1.
7.1. The blood was 7.34.
Okay, the blood is 7.34.
Right.
And then
As long as the cells are like and the reason why the 7.1 is important is because it indicates there's oxygen in the cell, which indicates that the mitochondria are functioning properly, which indicates that they're communicating properly. And so cancer invades when the cells become acidic and they become damaged because the mitochondria are damaged, and they switch from the generation of cellular energy, which in a healthy cell is generated primarily through a process. It's called ATP, and it's generated through something called the electron transport chain. But because the mitochondria are what generate all of your cellular energy, and so the mitochondria are the most essential thing for your health, absolutely the most essential. But as you get to the age 30 and even worse when you get to 40, they start getting more damaged and they die. So you have fewer of them, which means you have less cellular energy to do anything, whether it's have your brain work to fend off any kind of viruses or diseases like cancer.
Right.
And a cell that is damaged, a cell that doesn't have properly functioning mitochondria, is not generating as much ATP and becomes more acidic. And then what happens? This is an opportunity for cancers to grow into the cell, and they switch into a different type of generation of cellular energy, and it's not as efficient as the ATP is for. So the key to life is to keep your mitochondria healthy and happy and functioning, and the byproduct of properly functioning mitochondria is oxygen.
Right.
And I can explain how that all works. And when there's oxygen in the cell, the cell is healthy, it's alkaline, and it can keep cancer cells out. We have cancer cells in us at all times. They don't multiply and become a problem if our immune system is strong and our mitochondria are strong and can keep them under control. It's when the mitochondria start getting damaged and aren't functioning, which means our immune system gets depressed, that the cancer can start to invade the cells
So
and
what is causing those mitochondrial cells to
to get
be
damaged.
damaged?
Okay, great question, and it's the $1,000,000 question. And I've spent years figuring this out, and I am so happy to share the function, because I've learned that when you know something, it will take the fear away. It's when you don't know what's going on, you become so fearful, and then you grab at whatever solution is presented to you. And very often, if we can help people understand what's really going on in their body, they relax a little bit more, and they will allow your body will heal itself, but you have to give it time, and you have to give it what it needs
Absolutely.
and take away what it doesn't need.
Right.
So here's the story. Your mitochondria generate this stuff called ATP.
Adenosine triphosphate, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Good stuff. Now, a byproduct that nobody knows about of this generation of ATP, which you want because it's what fuels everything. It's the electricity for your body. Think of your mitochondria as the power plant for your body, and
Right.
it's also the light bulbs for your body. So you want this ATP stuff. But a byproduct are free radicals. It's just the way it is. So Mother Nature was very clever because and this whole ATP and production is done in the mitochondria.
Right.
Now, what most people don't know is that your mitochondria have their own DNA. We all know that we have about 20,000 regular DNA, but the mitochondria have 37 of their own, and 17 of them are used for this ATP production. You think 17, DNA, how important could 17 be? Well, those 17 control all the other 22,000 of your DNA. I call them the air controllers, because at an airport, there aren't many air controllers, but they control everything. Your mitochondria DNA, there aren't many of them, like an air controller, but they control everything.
Right.
And they are located exactly where the ATP is and exactly where the free radicals are. So they are bombarded by free radicals all the time. Or rather, they would have been bombarded if it wasn't for this one antioxidant called superoxide dismutase. Because superoxide dismutase neutralizes those free radicals and turns them into water and oxygen.
And what are some of these free radicals that your body can potentially have?
Well, the main one, free radicals are always a molecule with an unpaired electron, and nature loves symmetry and harmony. So when you have a free radical, which is a molecule with an unpaired electron, it is a free radical because it strives for balance. And so what it will do is it will steal an electron from a neighboring molecule and cause tissue damage, cell damage. Fortunately, there's these things called antioxidants that have extra electrons that they donate to a free radical to neutralize it. And that's why people take blueberries and vitamin C and all these other, vitamin E is also an antioxidant. Here's the problem. Your mitochondria are the only cell in your body with two membranes. Now, all of your other cells have one membrane, this lipid membrane I talked about earlier, and they have little channels in them called porins that allow antioxidants in and out. They also allow other things in and out. but your mitochondria has that membrane too, but it has a second inner membrane that is impenetrable by virtually all antioxidants. Nothing can get in there. It's like lockdown. It's like
Hmm.
being in the ICE unit at a hospital. There's this second membrane. There are only a handful of antioxidants that can get into that inner membrane, and all of them are in the algae. And the most important one is one that probably people have never heard of before. An acronym is SOD, but it stands for
SOD.
superoxide dismutase.
Hmm.
And why is this so important? Well, the type of free radical that is released as a byproduct of ATP is called superoxide, and it is the most damaging free radical in your body, and it's
Oh,
only
wow.
produced in the mitochondria. And you say to yourself, well, what's so damaging about this particular free radical? It has 3 unpaired electrons. Remember, I said most free radicals have 1 unpaired electron, so they steal one from another tissue unless there's an antioxidant nearby. So the free radical at the mitochondria level is called superoxide. It's 3 times as damaging because it has 3 unpaired electrons. But Mother Nature has blessed us. She gave us an antioxidant called superoxide dismutase, which basically dilutes the free radical and converts it into water and oxygen. We
Hmm.
have this antioxidant in our bodies from the moment we're born. And the way I explain it to people is like, it's like having a big golf umbrella. If you have one of those big golf umbrellas and you're caught in a rainstorm, whether you're golfing or shopping, the rain doesn't stop, but you don't get wet because you have this big golf umbrella that's protecting you. That's what superoxide dismutase does for you and your mitochondria from the moment you're born. It acts like a big golf umbrella. The free radicals, like the rain, are still coming, but they're not hitting and damaging the mitochondria because this superoxide dismutase converts it into water and oxygen. So your mitochondria are saved. Now, by the time you're 30, the production of this SOD, superoxide, starts to drop. So that big golf umbrella is now about the size of a totes umbrella. Your mitochondria, they're sort of dodging the rain, dodging the bullets, they're getting a little hit, but they're still somewhat protected from all these free radicals. By the time you're 40, your body has stopped production of this superoxide dismutase. You
Ooh,
have
that's not good.
none. Not good at all. And interestingly, this is exactly when all of these chronic diseases start kicking in. Heart disease, cancer, inflammation, dementia, brain fog, all these health issues just hit people very hard at the age 40 and on. And I believe it's because the mitochondria, which were protected up until that moment by this superoxide dismutase, it's gone. And now your mitochondria are being damaged. They're not functioning properly. There's less of them. So now you have less cellular energy to do anything.
So you have more oxidative stress
You
inside
have
of the
way
body.
more oxidative stress, way more inflammation. And women get hit twice as hard.
Really?
And here's why. And nobody's talking about this because at 40, they're either in perimenopause or in menopause. And at that age, that's when your estrogen levels drop.
Mm.
And well, everybody knows that that's what happens when you get to menopause. But what they don't know is estrogen acts as an antioxidant for the mitochondria.
Really?
So women
Huh.
at age 40 have lost all of their protection of the mitochondria because they no longer have superoxide dismutase, and they've also lost the protective nature of the mitochondria from estrogen. This is why women suffer more than men from depression, brain fog, Alzheimer's, because they are hit twice as hard. Because here's the interesting thing: the highest amount of mitochondria are in your brain. There are
Really?
2
Wow.
million mitochondria per cell. 2 million mitochondria per cell in your brain. So
Wow.
when those mitochondria start dying and are damaged, the first thing that gets hit is your brain.
Wow.
Is your brain. And we've done our own clinical studies. We've given people. We did one here in Florida at a nonprofit group called the Gray Team. Their function is to help military veterans stop their suicide rate, which is almost at 50%. So they're looking at all kinds of interventions to help these poor folks. So we did a little test. We took a small group of veterans who had been discharged for 10 to 15 years and had post-traumatic stress disorder, couldn't sleep, couldn't think, couldn't do anything. All we did was give them 30 tablets of spirulina a day. We told them not to change anything else. We did brain scans before, brain scans after. We hooked them up to various monitors, something called the WAVI machine, to monitor all their sleep scores, etc. Within 1 month, inflammation was completely gone in their brains. And they were thinking better, sleeping better. One gentleman had multiple sclerosis. His tremors went away. It does not take long. The great thing about your body is it's constantly regenerating itself. Your cells are, if you're healthy, the bad news is that's not a guarantee. You have to keep giving your body what it needs,
Right.
which is proper
For it to
nutrition,
function.
proper sleep,
Yeah.
proper movement. On the other hand, if you have a health condition, it doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be, a death sentence. Your body will heal if you start giving it what it needs to nourish it and get it back on track. Things like alkalinity, things like superoxide dismutase. There's also, and the amazing thing is, as I mentioned, these antioxidants that are in the algae can get into that inner membrane of the mitochondria. And you
Right.
want to know why?
Why's that?
Your mitochondria evolved directly from algae. How crazy is that?
So let me ask you
And
something.
it's scientifically proven.
You said you guys have ran research
Yeah.
and everything. Are you guys in that research? Are you guys utilizing any biomarkers when you're running those tests?
Well, we did another set of tests last year with a company called MeScreen, and they have all these biomarkers.
I'm familiar with them.
That test mitochondria health. So in that case, we had the participants do a MeScreen test to evaluate their mitochondria health. Once again, we gave them algae every day, but this time it was for 30 days. We actually tested them at day 7 and tested them again after 30 days. And Hemal Patel was the scientist who oversaw the findings for us. He is the chief scientific officer for Dr. Joe Dispenza. So he has quite a brain trust working with him. So we were quite confident in the results. And when he saw the results, even after 7 days, he said the only time he's seen such reduced inflammation and improved ATP production was on another test that he had done with somebody, another group. And they took a group of people and put them through intermittent fasting.
Okay.
And it took 3 weeks of intermittent fasting to achieve the same reduction of inflammation as 7 days of taking algae.
Wow.
90 days of intermittent fasting or 7 days of taking the algae. Plus, the results were better because when you're doing intermittent fasting, what happens is your body goes through a process of what's called autophagy, which is cellular cleaning, sort of cleaning up your room. So everything works better. And also you go through what's a process called apoptosis, where the cells that are sick, they're called senescent cells, are killed off. So again, but they do it without inflammation. So it subdivides and all the DNA is redirected. So when you use algae, you get all those benefits. You get the autophagy, you get the apoptosis, but you also get the improvement of the ATP because it has nutrients that improve the production of ATP, which I haven't addressed yet, which I'll
Right.
tell you right now. So we've been talking about superoxide dismutase as an antioxidant, and spirulina, this is why you want spirulina, it has the highest concentration in the world of it's not found in any other food. You can't get superoxide dismutase anywhere. They've tried it in capsules, but it gets degraded in digestion. Spirulina algae has the highest concentration. However, you can't buy just any spirulina because that superoxide dismutase is also an enzyme. And enzymes are deactivated and killed by high heat. So all those lesser expensive, lower quality algae that you can buy from Trader Joe's or Target or wherever, they cut corners to get to market quickly, and they always use high heat because they need to dry it quickly, get to market quickly. That deactivates that superoxide dismutase. So it may have been in there originally, but it's not there anymore. So
It has to be like frozen or something right from the
no,
beginning?
you just
or-
can't use high heat. So ours, we never use high heat. So you could either use our algae to get that active superoxide dismutase, or you could get frozen spirulina or fresh spirulina, but most people don't like that, and it's hard to find. It's very expensive and expires quickly, so it's quite messy.
Right,
if you don't
right.
like the flavor of spirulina, you just swallow it.
Right,
A-
right.
And the reason and chlorella has the second highest amount, so you can still get lots of superoxide dismutase from chlorella. But the reason I promote spirulina first and foremost is because it's a bacteria. It has no cellulose wall. So there's nothing for your body to break down to get access to it. If you chew it, it's in your bloodstream in seconds.
Really? Wow.
That means all the nutrients, all the protein, all the aminos, and all the superoxide dismutase is getting where it needs to go in seconds. So you will feel the results, almost instantly. And chlorella, it does belong to the plant kingdom, and it has a hard cell wall, which attaches to toxins, by the way, lead, mercury, radiation, aluminum, and chelates them and pulls them out of your body. Alcohol.
Wow.
So this is a chelating wellness detoxing algae, and spirulina is a nourishing, energizing at the cellular level algae. This, because your brain has so much mitochondria, algae spirulina is brain food. And because chlorella has fiber in it, which feeds your gut biome, chlorophyll, which kills bacteria and gives all your immune system all the nutrients it needs, this is a gut health algae. And of course, the gut and the brain are connected by something called the vagus nerve. So as you heal one, you automatically start healing the
Right.
other
I
one.
mean, that's a big thing, the gut and the brain connection.
Yes, you
right?
want that. But this is brain food. And and people know that fatty fish are known as brain food, primarily because of the omega-3 in them. And I remind people, well, where do you think the fish get the omega-3 from? They get it from algae. They just consolidate it in their body. But unfortunately, and a lot of people take fish oil for that reason, but the fish oil is usually rancid by the time you get it. So, and there's too much overfishing of the oceans. So I tell people, look when you take the algae, you're getting the omega-3 that you would have got from the fish. There's only 1 calorie per tablet. So if you're counting calories, this is a very efficient way to do it. It has 3 times the amount of protein per weight as fish, and it will never go rancid. So it's far more, and it's more bioavailable. You get all the nutrition instantly with any kind of animal protein. It can take up to 3 days to digest, and then your body has to break it down.
What are
into
the
aminos.
nutrients? Because you said there's a total of 44
Well,
different nutrients,
we
right?
measure over 40. There's
Okay.
whole food, and there's lots of books about this. Whole food contains so many nutrients. There's not only the vitamins and the minerals. There's other micronutrients. There's pigments. There's phytonutrients. There's enzymes. There's coenzymes. And the great thing about algae is it's food. It is a whole food. And when you eat whole food, and particularly algae, Mother Nature has crafted this for us. I can't take credit for algae. That's Mother Nature. I can take credit for growing it so carefully. We preserve all the nutrients so that you get the best value. You get everything that's working for you.
Right.
If you get the cheaper stuff, it's like getting a great deal on a car, and then you find out there's no engine in it. So
Yeah, that's
looks
not good.
looks great, can't do anything for you. So you can get a cheaper algae, but it's not going to do what this stuff does for you.
So when we look at like the magnitude of vitamins, minerals, amino acids, everything that's inside of the product, you start seeing there's other products out there that have a magnitude of these different nutrients as well too. So I want to talk about like how does it compare to like sea moss or shilajit, which are these other type of nutrients that
Yeah.
come from
Yeah.
nature
Yeah.
and have all these
Well,
nutrients.
sea moss is from the ocean, and of course, you can't keep toxins out of the ocean. So there's always going to be microtoxins. You want to be a little careful. There is nothing in the universe more nutrient dense than algae. NASA's been feeding it to the astronauts for 50 years
Wow.
because of that. It's so consolidated, and here's why. This is a microalgae, and I'll back up because usually I start with an explanation of what algae is. Algae is its own food category because it's not technically a plant. It's certainly not an animal. Within the category called algae, you have macroalgae and microalgae. Macroalgae is that stringy stuff that you see washing up on shore. It's also known as seaweed, dulse, or kelp. Now, macroalgae is still good for you because it's very high in fiber, but it has virtually zero nutrition. High fiber, zero nutrition, and it does have iodine, and that can be good for some people, not good, not so good for others. But it's only in the sea. That's why it's called seaweed.
Right.
Microalgae is the complete opposite. First of all, it's everywhere. It's in the oceans, the lakes, the rivers, the streams, your aquarium, the soil. It has virtually no fiber. Spirulina has no fiber, or virtually no fiber, and it is the most nutrient-dense food in the world. So macroalgae, high fiber, no nutrition. Microalgae, high nutrition, virtually no fiber. And it's so tiny, you can't see it. That's why it's called microalgae. It's so tiny you can get 1 million microalgae on the head of a pin. So that's why when you consolidate it into this tablet form, there's the same amount of nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. And I used that quote from NASA that said 1 gram of algae has the same nutrition as 1,000 grams of fruits or vegetables to get that calculation. So when you buy a large bag of our algae tablets, there's 1,000 tablets in the bag, that bag equals 551 pounds of vegetables,
Oh, wow.
nutrition in vegetables, not the fiber, the nutrition. That's about 30 grocery carts of food. And I'll just show you how this, if I can get this thing open, what a bag looks like. So it's the most efficient nutrition in the world. So there's right there. There's 30 grocery carts of nutrition
Wow.
right there,
Amazing.
and it has an expiry date of 3 years. It never goes bad. We have preppers that buy this stuff, 20, 50 bags at a time. So if you think the world's ending, this is for you. 551 pounds of nutrition right there.
Wow.
You can take 1, you can take 10, you can take 30. We fuel NHL teams, Olympic teams, NHL players take 75 before a game because it gives them focus and power on the ice. And then they take 75 of the chlorella afterwards because it pulls out lactic acid. This is a recovery algae. It builds your immune system. It helps your muscles restore. This has something called chlorella growth factor in it, which speeds up the growth of your cells. So, and we recommend this at night because that's when your repair happens,
Okay.
most of it. But right there, 551
Nice.
pounds. And we have, as I said, we have a discount code.
Yeah.
But,
What is that discount code? Just so people know.
well, I think we're going to do Liquid Vita. I think it was
Okay.
Liquid Vita was going to be your discount code. Is that
All right. Yeah.
um,
Perfect. So,
so
guys, and you guys know that it's pretty straightforward.
yeah, so you go to
LIQU.
ENERGYbits.com and you use Liquid Vita as your discount code and you get 20% off. And so when at the 20% off, you take 10 tablets a day, a bag will last you 3 months and cost you $1 a serving.
Wow.
Now, if you have a health condition, or maybe you want to stack it with your IV drips, and we really recommend you do that because, for example, glutathione, it only lasts about an hour in your body, but when chlorella has the highest glutathione in the world. So when you take the chlorella at the same time you're taking your glutathione drip, it's going to extend the benefits of the glutathione and make it last longer. It'll make it more effective and make it last longer.
Amazing.
A lot of people do collagen drips. Well, algae has more collagen than collagen powder. It has up to 400% of some of the aminos. So when you take the collagen drip and you take, we recommend spirulina in that case because it has more protein, then you're going to get a deeper benefit from the collagen drip and it will last longer.
Right.
So any drip that you're taking, you will just get more benefits when you take either one of the algae with or after the
That's
drip.
amazing.
Same with red light therapy, same with cryotherapy. Any of the biohacks, just stack the algae. We generally suggest the spirulina before just because it gets absorbed so much faster, and then take the chlorella after because, for example, let's say you're doing a sauna, even if it's a regular sauna or a red light sauna, take the algae beforehand because one of the ways you get rid of toxins in your body, well, there's 4 ways you get rid of toxins: breath, sweat, urine, and bowel movements. So saunas are really great because it encourages the sweating.
Right.
So it's pulling all the toxins out. Then, and so you're nourishing your body because spirulina still has chlorophyll in it, which is very cleansing. But you definitely want this chlorella afterwards because it's the cleanup crew. It will pull all those toxins that got released during the sauna, or maybe during the cryo, or maybe during the red light, and just get rid of it. It's like after a Swiftie concert. There's lots of stuff on the floor. You want to get rid of all that stuff. This is what this does.
Which is really important here because we know the effects that toxins have on the mitochondria.
Right.
So for your mitochondrial health, I mean, something like this, just eliminating those toxins are going to get your mitochondrial cells to actually perform better.
And the way I describe toxins is, we talk about spirulina as being your nutritional insurance, and we talk about chlorella as being your health insurance. So you can be putting all this great nutrition in, but if you have toxins sitting in your cell receptors, these are, it's like having a car in your parking spot. You have a reserved parking spot. Well, someone took your parking spot. You can't get in there. So you're giving your body great nutrition with the spirulina, but if you've got toxins sitting in the receptor cells, they can't get in. So the chlorella pulls out the invader who's got your parking spot. Boom. Now the nutrition can get in. It's a great synergy. And I started talking earlier about, you were asking about other things like sea moss, which are other foods. They're also whole foods. The great thing about food is Mother Nature has put all these phytonutrients and enzymes and coenzymes that work together, that work in harmony. It's like listening to an orchestra. When you listen to an individual soloist, you can hear a nice, violin or a flute or something. But when you put that violin and that flute together with the rest of the instruments, you have magnificence. And that's what you get from whole food versus supplements. An individual supplement is like that individual violinist. Maybe it's doing okay, but it could be better.
Harmony.
You want harmonies, you want
Right.
synergies, you want greatness, and that's what you get with algae, because all of those, you don't have to worry, should I take it with other fats? Should I take it alone? Should I take it with food? Instead, it's all figured out for you. You don't have to do anything except open your mouth. That's it.
I love it.
Just
I
get
love
it in there. One and done. But
The other thing that I really love about what you guys have too on like your social media, it's not just, hey, take the tablets. There's even recipes that people can make, little snack bites and,
Yeah.
healthy foods and stuff where,
yeah,
I saw
smoothies,
quite a
yeah,
few videos of people actually grinding it up,
yeah,
and putting it into recipes
yeah,
and whatnot.
yeah.
So that'd be a good thing for the listeners to actually go on the social
Absolutely.
media and check
And we're
out.
very active on social. Our handle is at ENERGYbits.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make it, we're trying to make algae sexy.
Yeah.
Because what it does for your body is almost unbelievable. Maybe you'll take it because you're an athlete and you want better performance, you want better focus, but you're also you're gonna have better mitochondria health. You will have less likelihood of chronic disease. Chronic disease hits everybody.
Right.
1 in 2 people are predicted to get cancer now. And one of the things I want to tell you about is spirulina is called a blue-green algae because it has 2 pigments in it. The green one, which we've talked about already, called chlorophyll, but it also has a pigment called phycocyanin that most people have never heard of before, and it's spelled Phycoycon. And what does phycocyanin do? It kills cancer cells. Here's how you spell it: Phycocyanin. I want people to be able to Google that, because phycocyanin is being used by the chemotherapy companies now in their cancer treatments.
Really?
And
Wow.
you don't. And I tell people, and who wants chemotherapy? Yeah, nobody that I know
No.
of. So what it does, this blue phycocyanin. Remember, I talked about that electron transport chain. That's how energy is created in the mitochondria. Well, the way that energy is created in this electron transport chain, it's sort of like a relay race. We've all seen relay races. You have a runner with a baton. They run a certain distance. They pass the baton to the next runner who runs a distance, and hopefully they, however many there are, they cross the finish line first. Well, in your mitochondria, the way that the ATP is produced is very similar. Instead of runners, though, you have these molecules. And instead of a baton being passed from one runner to the next, you have electrons. And so one molecule passes the electron to the next one, who passes it to the next one, who passes the next one, and that final thing generates ATP. So the speed at which those electrons can be moved along is what determines how much ATP you get, how close they are, how few free radicals are released. And so first of all, you get 0 free radicals from taking spirulina. Carbs generate the most free radicals. So please, simple carbs, processed foods, sugar, so eliminate that. But back to the phycocyanin. In those 4 molecules, which are like the relay race, there's a little helper molecule. It's called cytochrome C. It's like having a Tesla, because it speeds up the molecules, those electrons moving along. Now, in a healthy cell, the blue pigment speeds up that molecule, those electrons. That's one of the reasons why spirulina gives you energy, because it
Okay.
speeds up that process between the molecules. However, in an unhealthy cell, which is known as a senescent cell or a cancer cell, the blue phycocyanin detects that it's an unhealthy cell or cancer cell, and instead of speeding up the energy, it ejects that cytochrome C molecule, which kills the cell. It releases something called capases, which then causes apoptosis. This is why I call spirulina intelligent food. You need to be intelligent to take it, and it knows what to do in your body.
I like
How
that. Intelligent
crazy
food.
is that?
I've heard of superfoods, but
This
never
is
heard of intelligent
intelligent
food.
food.
What
This
other intelligent foods are out there? I want them all.
Yeah. Well, both algae are intelligent because of the various things that they do, because of the nutrients that aren't able to be found anywhere else. There is no phycocyanin anywhere else. Some people take methylene blue. They were asking me, is it the
Right.
same as methylene? Methylene blue is produced. This surpasses methylene blue is fine, not beating up on methylene blue, but this is way better than methylene blue. Plus, it's food. Plus, it's from nature, and it's the most eco-friendly, sustainable crop in the world. And methylene blue doesn't do any of the things that I've just talked about.
Right.
So it's better than methylene blue.
All right.
For sure, but it's intelligent food. And same thing with chlorella. I call it also intelligent food because it knows what to do in your body. They did an experiment. The trouble with chemotherapy is when you get chemotherapy, it kills all the cells,
Even the
cancer
good
cells,
cells.
even the good cells. There was an experiment where they injected chemotherapy into chlorella, and I believe, and I can't remember the actual report, but I believe they gave it to the patient intravenously.
Okay.
The chlorella was able to find the cancer cells, attach to the cancer cells, and deliver the chemotherapy just to the cancer cells, left the rest of the cells alone.
So it made the chemotherapy more effective.
It directed the chemotherapy specifically where it needed to go. So instead of doing just a blend, just blasting all your cells, which is usually what happens, it found the cancer cells specifically. The benefits of these two algae they would be unbelievable if they weren't so well documented. I know we've gone way past the COVID phase, but just recently there was a study released because these studies take so long to do the study,
Right.
collect the data, write the paper, publish the paper. This paper was published in 2024, and it was during COVID, and it was done in Israel. And what they did is they took COVID patients. Half of the COVID patients were given standard care, and the other half were given standard care and spirulina.
Okay.
The patients that got the standard care plus the spirulina, not a single mortality, not a single death. And they were discharged on average within 7 days. The group that did not get the spirulina, very high mortality, and they were in the hospital for weeks, if not months.
Wow.
So that was just one more example. The list is endless of what this stuff does. And it's not only scientifically documented, we have our own anecdotal evidence. We've had people write us and show us their cancer scores. And I have to just to be clear, because I don't want the FDA to shut me down, it's not the algae that's doing it. It's the nutrients found in algae that have been proven in science to do these sorts of things. There are 25,000 studies that document the importance of superoxide dismutase, SOD, to reduce inflammation, prevent heart disease, prevent Alzheimer's, prevent any kind of dementia. So it is very well documented. The missing piece to it is that people don't know that this superoxide dismutase exists in raw spirulina. Again, it has to be raw or it's been deactivated. There's also all kinds of studies proving that phycocyanin, and you can go on Google phycocyanin in cancer treatments, you'll see there are studies proving that it kills cancer cells. And so I just want people to know you can get the phycocyanin from the spirulina. Here's one example. Here's a test where they dyed cancer cells purple, and then they put phycocyanin into the petri dish.
Oh, wow.
And this is a photo, the 24-hour period. And if you got a close-up, you would see that virtually all the cancer cells were gone after 24 hours.
Look at that. Wow.
Unbelievable, right? So
amazing.
So I'm just here to share what scientists have known, but scientists like to talk to other scientists. It's very complicated jargon that the scientists use, and most consumers either don't even know that PubMed exists, they don't know about the science, they don't have the time to read the science. I mean, I have dug deep for 16 years to find the science, connect the dots, so I can share the information with average people in a way that helps them understand how their body works and why algae has all the nutrients that their body needs to function optimally. Aging is natural, declining is not. We have been taught by society that it is,
Right.
and we need to change that conversation.
Yeah, yeah. And listen, I agree with you 100% on what you're saying here. And what you're doing here is you're allowing people to feed their body the nutrients they need for their body to actually perform
Correct.
in the way that it's supposed to perform.
Absolutely. And and we used to perform that way until our soils got so damaged.
Right.
Our food no longer has nutrients in it. Most Americans in particular and Europeans are eating processed foods which are drained of nutrients, and in fact they have things that interfere with the absorption of nutrients. They're messing up your gut biome. So we're telling people now what not to eat, and they're starting to hear us. But then you have to give them something to eat. You have to fill the gap. If you're
Right.
taking away all this stuff that is bad for them, you have to give them something that's good for them.
That's the truth.
And
Yeah.
that's why I love algae so much. We're not asking you to change anything. Just add it.
Add.
Just take it. It's effortless. If you can swallow water, you can get the nutrients you need. You can start slowly. You don't have to spend a lot of money. I met Brian Johnson recently. He's a fabulous person, by the way. And the media's made him out to look like a kind of a crazy person. But he has a lot of money, and he's spending, and he's doing lots of data collection to show people what's possible. But he's spending a couple $1 million a year to shave off all these. I think he shaved about 3 or 4 years off his life with all these various biomarkers. And I've met him, and I've challenged him. I said, "Well, I don't do any of those things that you're doing, Brian. I just take algae every day." And I had some tests done that measured my biomarkers, and I'll share with you that I'm going to be 69 this year, and so that's my chronological age. My biological age, according to these biomarkers, is 30.
Wow.
And all I do is take algae every day. And and I do take a lot, but if you took the amount I would take, it would cost you maybe closer to $500 or maybe $1,000 a year instead of 2 million. And you don't even have to take as many. Just take 10 a day, which is $1 a day. That's 365 days. $365 that you're spending on your health. And it replaces other things. You can get rid of your multivitamin, your collagen powder, your fish oil. Please stop taking fish oil. It's rancid by the time you take it. Your grocery bill will go down. Your energy will go up. It's
doesn't sound like a bad deal. So Catherine, as we wrap up here, if there's one person that's listening that really resonates with everything that we've talked about during this podcast episode, and they might be struggling with their health, with some of the things that we talked about, what's that one thing that you can leave them off with?
It's never too late to feel great. I don't care what age you are. I don't care what health condition you have. Algae can make a contribution effortlessly, and it's proven in science, and it's food. So just give it a try. I can't help you if I can't get it in your body.
Right.
So just give it a try. We sell it on our website, ENERGYbits.com. We sell it through clinics, maybe one day, Liquivita. But if you want to try it in a small way, you can go to Amazon. We sell the little pouches for $6. It's less than a coffee. And a coffee won't change your life.
Right.
I started this to help my sister recover from cancer. I'm particularly committed to helping women with their health, particularly menopausal women, because they get hit twice with the loss of that superoxide and their estrogen, which causes more mitochondrial shrinkage and damage. But it's never too late to feel great. I want every single person in the world should be taking this because it is the answer to everything, literally.
Right. It's never too late
to feel great.
To feel great. I love it. I love it. And where can people find you?
ENERGYbits.com is our website, and then the Liquivita gets you 20% off. We have fun canisters. They come with a bag inside. You only buy a canister once, and then when you are used up
get the
bag,
refill.
you just refill. We're very
Nice.
eco-friendly, and I recently wrote this little booklet. We'll hand it out to people. It's called The Algae Love Story, and it explains how algae will love your body back to life. We all need love. We all need algae too.
Oh, wow. And listen, it's Valentine's Day
That's right. That's
week
right.
here, so
Yeah.
a little love story
Yeah.
doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Catherine, it was a pleasure to have you here on the podcast. Great information.
Thank
I
you so
think
much.
all of the listeners are going to gain so much from it. So, thank you. And we'll have all the links down below for everybody to
Absolutely.
follow.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for doing what you're doing. It takes all of us to help turn this ship around.
that's the truth. All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of a Healthy Point of View podcast. Make sure you check out the links down below. Make sure you get access to that promo that she was kind enough to give us. For all of you listeners, make sure you follow, share, do all the fun stuff, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you for the next one.